Yeah,
first, you didn't come from a traditional. I mean, it's a traditional market now, but back then it wasn't. Arizona, and the two coaches that you had, Ulf Samuelsson played against him, but he was like an idol of mine because
right.
he was just a warrior out there.
Jesus
And
Christ.
the other guy was Jim Johnson. Jim Johnson and I, we went to the same high school. He's like 6 years older than me, and I've had interactions with him because he started that flex coach, which was pretty doggone. It was game changing back then to
For
connect
sure.
coaches and give them. So, tell me a little bit what it was like, you know, playing
Yeah.
division. I mean, not division, but playing, starting to play hockey down there. And then I believe I remember correctly that 12 players on that original group ended up going to play Division 1 hockey. So go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of like right place at the right time. And, the Coyotes had just came to town in Phoenix, and that kind of sparked this wave of hockey players. And, Derek Johnson, Jimmy's son, him and I are, and Philip Samuelsson, Ulf's son, we're all the same age. So got put onto a team with them from when I basically started playing hockey, because I played roller hockey till I switched to ice a little bit later. And then just was on that team and rode that wave. And as a defenseman, we had 6D on the team. All six went Division 1, and a big part of that is because we had Ulf Samuelsson and Jimmy Johnson jumping in all the drills, playing D. They were like our fourth set, and as you know, those two aren't the nicest players to play against, and I mean that in a good way. But yeah, playing in the desert and winning a national championship our 14 and under year, and doing really well other years, and like you said, sending. I mean, not just like lower schools, like North Dakota, Duluth, Mankato, like some pretty awesome schools. So it was pretty special, and learning from those guys, like you couldn't ask for a better experience as a youth hockey player.
No, you couldn't. And just people that don't know, Old Samuelson played over 1,000 NHL games with Hartford, Pittsburgh, New York Rangers, Detroit Red Wings, and Philadelphia Flyers. He was one of the guys that would wear the roll on his neck like the football
Yeah.
players would once in a while. I don't know if he did his
Hmm.
whole career. And then Jim Johnson, uh, he D1 Duluth. He was teammates with Brett Hall. He played 829 NHL games with Pittsburgh, the Minnesota North Stars, Dallas, Washington Capitals, and Phoenix, where he went. And
Yep.
that
Exactly. And with Jimmy too, never played in the minors, right? Like stuck around the NHL the whole time, and like talk about hockey IQ and the things that him and Ulf can teach us were beyond its times. And the flex coach that you had mentioned, like it was pretty awesome.
so you had that type. I mean, how important is that? Because I know that my kids and the teams that I coached, the players that played with my kids, that they had a competitive advantage because of how long I was able to play. And you kind of learn a little more than the average Joe. But uh, how fortunate do you feel? I mean, it's like you were Steve Jobs, and you were born in Silicon Valley, because we wouldn't be having this conversation if you were in Butte, Montana, because those two guys, you probably wouldn't have been on that team. How are they different? What did they do that was so different than what you were used to?
I mean, a big thing was like the accountability piece. Like if you weren't doing your job or playing the right way, like you would know, in a good way, and then just the details that they taught us. Like it wasn't ever like, hey, you need to do this. It was like, hey, you need to do this, and here's why. Like there was always that extra piece of like, watch, like when you're getting pucks in the corner, here's a tip or trick, or when you're moving pucks up walls, like this is what you need to be looking at, or this is the when you're scanning, like a lot of times that term gets tossed around, like you need to pre-scan or shoulder check or whatever it is you call it. But they would talk about like what you should actually be looking for, and educating yourself, and working the play a certain way. So those little types of details were unbelievable. And then, like I said, they would actually pair up, when we needed an extra set of D in practice. And so just like watch it was crazy watching them and the way that they played together. And picked up a lot from that, and playing with great teammates too on that team. That like I said, we had 6D and we all played Division 1, and it made it pretty sweet that like no matter where you're at in the lineup, you're playing good hockey. So it was pretty special.
They, demonstrating like that, you're
Yeah,
probably watching that going, "Holy cow, they make it look so easy, so effortless." But
yeah.
they're the
Just sorry.
no, I was just gonna say that most people talk about the forward line, the chemistry that has to happen with that, but the same thing with your D partner. I mean, you guys are just in sync all the time. If you're not, you're getting scored on.